Well, God save your family. I am still on this subject, and today I want to look at verses that basically say this is going to happen. God is going to save your family, and especially during the last days that we're living in. That's what I want to talk about today. This is John Dowler of Prayer Builders in Winona, Minnesota, and I want to take you to a unique verse. Now, this verse right here, actually, these are really unique verses because it's actually the last two verses of the Old Testament. These are the last two verses. These are the last two verses in the canon of the Old Testament before the Messiah would come. This was preceding Jesus coming when he'd be born of a virgin. Well, I want to read you these two verses, and these verses were actually referring to John the Baptist. They were referring to the Spirit that would be upon John the Baptist in these last days, or in those days when Jesus would come, and what was going to happen. But not only that same Spirit, let's go ahead and read this. He says, "Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord." And it says, "And he shall turn the hearts of fathers to the children, the hearts of children to the fathers." Look at this. Now, if you ever want to do a study on this, and it's something that I teach. I actually teach this in my book, The Rapture of the Church. Final Call, The Rapture of the Church. This is available in any major bookstore. You can order this online. You can actually get it. You can go to the link that's on our website at prayerbuilders.org. And Final Call, The Message of the Rapture of the Church. That's one of the things that I basically teach on, the day of the Lord. The day of the Lord is the tribulation. It's literally back in Jeremiah chapter 30 and 31. It's literally what is referred to as Jacob's trouble. Well, who's Jacob? Jacob's name was changed to Israel. It's Israel's trouble. It's not the church's trouble. Back whenever you look at the subject of the day of the Lord, any place where it's being talked about in the Old Testament or the New, Paul talked about it in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. Right after he had talked about the rapture of the church, he talked about this day of the Lord overtaking you. He said that day was not going to overtake us as a thief in the night because we're not appointed to wrath. That's what he said. The day of the Lord is the day where this earth's system gets the judgment poured on it that had been coming, that's been building up all these years since Adam was created. Since the fall of man, all of the things that's happened on the face of this earth, everything, this world system, what the devil is the god of this world system, everything that's happened. Well, this verse right here says that before the great and terrible day, and I could totally just go teaching on the great and terrible day and showing you it's the tribulation. It's the 7-year tribulation, which the church is not here for. He said that before the great and dreadful day of the Lord, in verse 5 of Malachi 4, it says, "He shall turn the hearts of fathers." He will, and if we can just say this, let's just strip this down to the irreducible minimum. Before the great and dreadful day, before the 7-year tribulation happens, God, is going to turn hearts. There is going to be a spirit that's going to turn hearts. It's going to cause hearts to turn. It's going to cause hearts to turn. If you remember, If you remember back in Matthew, Jesus said, "Behold, I did not come to send peace on the earth." This is Matthew 10:34. Think not that I'm come to send peace on the earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword, because I am come to set at variance father against daughter, daughter against mother, daughter-in-law against mother-in-law. And it says a man's foes will be of his own house. Well, see, here's what happened. After the church age began, the gospel began getting preached. And Jesus said that when people would receive the gospel, their family members would turn against them. But then, right here, this particular verse, the last two verses of Malachi, he said, before the great and terrible day, which that is the end of the church age. At the end of the church age. He said before the church age ends, he shall turn the hearts. And then he starts to mention family relationships. Well, do you know, Peter was actually quoting in Acts chapter 2. He was quoting Joel. And there's a certain section in there where he starts talking about before that great and terrible day and talking about the last days. And he said that he'd pour out his spirit on all flesh and that your sons and daughters would be prophesying. God wants to save your family. And the last two verses and you're living in this age before the great and terrible day. You are living in this age. We are here. That time is now. And God said he is going to turn the hearts of children to parents. That's what he said. He's going to turn the hearts of children. He's going to turn the hearts of them from whatever they've been following to the true God. And I am telling you right now, you need to hook your faith on this. You need to grab a hold of this. And this is an end time promise. This is an end time promise for the times when it seems to be more darkness on every side than there's ever been. But God is going to save your children. Put your faith in it. Claim it. Make that your profession. And believe God to save your family.